Galamsey. Raymond asked a bunch of questions. I added one. And, they are all begging answers. Let's see if we can't get a semblance of how this whole thing is going from Dr. Kenneth Ashigbey, convener of the Media Coalition Against Galamsey. He joins us over the phone right now. Dr. Ashigbey, good morning to you.
Good morning, Kojo.
Well, it's good to have you. I suppose that's where we'll start. I mean, you have been independently observing things. Where would you place the government's fight against Galamsey? How is it going?
Well, I think it did not start, Kojo. It did not start. It's important to take, and I think the questions you all asked are in place. The military that was added to the fight, they started the fight after, I think, about a day or two. We saw what happened. Even the brim that they had gone into, by the time they left there, they were supposed to be heading towards the eastern region. The Galamseyers had come back onto the streets, and they had to take the Small Scale Miners Association, who then, went to arrest some of them. And interestingly, even in the Ashigbey police station, the police commander wanted immediately to grant these people bail, and they had to take some concerted efforts. I'm not too sure where that particular case has gone to. And then we know for a fact that, that operation took a break. Have you heard anything from that military operation again?
I have not.
We have some journalists sitting around on the bridges. You can still see champagne on the water bodies. So that particular leg of enhancing the operational thing really has not happened, and so that's a major one. Then you have the issue of the revocation of LI 2462. What have the parliamentarians been, engaging themselves with? Where they will sit in parliament. That is what's more interesting for them. Not how they help resolve the challenges that are confronting us. And as you were speaking to Mr. Roxon Daviamepo, you were asking about when they would rise. So would we get the 21 days that is necessary to be able to ensure that this bill is revoked? You heard organized labor also talk about some 14 courts. Where are those 14 courts? And why is it that there are a lot of these cases, we're not hearing anything coming from there? How come we don't know about any of these other cases that are going on? We have a situation where when some activists are fighting Galamsey, they, are the ones that are quickly remanded and taken to court, and then the court remands them. But in that particular situation of Atonsu, where the Galamseyers were destroying Atonsu stream, for which there was even a report to the police and the EPA. When the farmers decided that they were going to stop them, the Galamseyers, when they are arrested, immediately they were granted bail. But the farmers who attempted to stop them, they were remanded in police custody, and then they were taken to court, and the court remanded them. They were supposed to have gone back to court again yesterday. I don't know whether now they've been granted bail. And so you find out that from the judiciary to the police when it comes to the enforcement, because of the lack of the state of emergency that has been declared, the Galamseyers are still having a field day. So, you asked the question about that report of 14,000 NTUs to 9,000 NTUs. Why is that nobody has reported the situation of the water back to us? The Ghana Coalition, for example, we have written to Ghana Water. We wrote to the Ghana Standards Authority, and we wrote to the Food and Drugs Board, because what we are asking is that Ghana Water should confirm to us that the water they are producing for us from all the treatment plants, the level of trace metals, the level of heavy metals are within the acceptable limits. We are waiting. Ghana Water says they've sent samples to be tested, but we're still waiting. We don't even have a formal response for them. And then the Standard Authority wrote back to us and said they are not the regulators for Ghana Water. But you will think that they set the standards for everything that is in this country. And a critical thing like water should be of concern for them. The Food and Drugs Board, they have not even had, the courtesy of even acknowledging receipt of the letters that have been sent to them. So on all fronts, we don't seem to be dealing with this. And it looks as if our concentration is just on the election, forgetting that as we speak, there are people who are renally being poisoned. Now, we don't even have money to be able to do all the dialysis. These dialysis machines that we're talking about, the challenge is that in most of the communities where Galamsey is prevalent, where the renal diseases are also have, you have the challenges with HIV also being high. So if you are not fortunate, and any of these people who have the renal diseases also have, HIV, and they go and put them on any of these equipment that we don't have enough of, what is going to happen is that equipment is going to be rendered completely useless. So the challenges that confront us are grave, but it doesn't look as if we are treating this thing with a seriousness that it deserves. So for us as the Ghana Coalition, we're planning to be able to hold an engagement with you, the media, because we need to find a way of bringing this to the focus. And I've been asking multimedia, beyond Erastus's case, and I'm happy that at least the morning show you raised, but I think we need to push the button a bit higher. How is it that we still have not had the owners of those concessions? How come that they have still not been arrested? Only the three people who have been arrested, we don't even know what is happening to that case. I've been talking to the GJ. The time has come for us to all mobilize together and decide that the police who are involved, the Ministry of Interior who are also responsible for the police, as well as the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, who also have anything to do that. We will tell them that if they won't deal with this particular issue, maybe we should get to the point where we do a blackout of all of them. So this particular issue is handled. How is it that a journalist who has really been at the forefront of fighting this particular crime that is being called genocide that is being committed against all of us, he and his crew are attacked, and we don't have anything happening to it? These criminals who did it are still walking free. How does that happen in any country that is serious about fighting this particular scourge?
Right. Certainly more important questions. And yes, from your perspective, it hasn't even started.
No, it hasn't. Tell me which of the enhanced things have started that you have been able to see that some results. Apart from when the military moved out and then they deployed and they got media people in there for one day. After that, what has happened? Nothing. So which one again? The court? Nothing. The issues about LI 2462. What? They have all the two of them who sat in Parliament, the NDC and the NPP who sat in Parliament to get that law, that obnoxious law passed. They have decided that they are more interested in where they will sit than how we will deal with these issues. Well, another thing that we're also planning of doing is to mobilize all the presidential candidates and then also the parliamentary candidates to sign on to that. Nothing has happened. What you hear is you have an NDC person like Bande also going out and sitting in a particular community and say when they come they will allow them to fight. You have an MPP doctor who should be able to know the debilitating effect of this thing on kidneys. Also say they will not stop it today or stop it tomorrow. So in terms of the actual fight, and unfortunately we also have the complicity of especially the middle class. People then are beginning to ask you, Kenneth Ashigbey, why are you doing this at this particular time? Don't you know there's an election? So there's an election coming, so we should continue killing ourselves? Is that what we are saying as a country? So it is important that we also as a people, we really wake up and say that, if it was your son, who had a fourth-year student from KNUST, just had to go and defend his thesis, it was to fall into a pit and die. Are you now going to say we should wait till the next election? If it's your daughter that goes to give birth to a baby with 4 feet and 2 hands, and then without genitalia dies, and the postmortem is carried out, and in the bone marrow, the level of toxicity in that, would you be happy about it? This is the question we'll be asking ourselves. Now, currently, we are sitting in court talking about, some benefits we're getting. Instead of all the 37 forest reserves that has been destroyed, Shouldn't we rather be focusing on how we present this forest reserve and see how we can take the carbon credits for them? Shouldn't we by this time be telling our people that if you planted avocado on an acre of land, after the third or fourth year, you should be able to make $6,000 on that, and you can do that for 30 years. When you do Galamsey on that land, because you don't have to pay reclamation and all of that, you will get $6,000 again. Which one is the best one to do? If it was coconut that you were doing, it's about $25,000 a year for another 30, 40 years. But who is going to be able to tell our people some of these things? Then push and say that we need to start doing a change from the thing that we were doing, where we are eating our tanks and thinking that we have some meals, where we are poisoning ourselves. Are people poisoning ourselves? Who is taking this? So we need to also put some of the responsibilities on all of us, apart from multimedia and a few. And I think it's the journalists who have been able to take this particular fight. Our appeal to organized labor is that they have sat back. They have seen what at the center has happened. By this time, we should all get back together again and make sure that the things that we ask to be done, it should be done. It doesn't matter whether the elections is tomorrow or tomorrow next. We do elections because we want to govern ourselves. And if by the time we're governing ourselves, people have died needlessly because of these things, our water has been destroyed because of these things, our cocoa is no longer acceptable because of these things, the artisanal fishers who are on these water bodies now don't have work to do. The artisanal fishers who are in the estuaries of the sea because of the pollution also don't have work to do. Hotels that are in those communities have lost their businesses. Streams that people have been fishing and are their source of water can no more be done. What is the essence of a country like that?
Dr. Ashigbey, the president is in Baku, Azerbaijan for COP29, and in his speech he said, "What are we leaving behind?" I mean, with everything you've enumerated, I ask you, have we lost this fight against Galamsey?
That's the question that the president should be asking and answering himself. Because you see, what is he? And he says he's a father, as a grandfather. What is he going to leave behind? If the situation we have ourselves in that in September or so, water from one of your treatment plants, the turbidity level is 9,000 NTUs as they claim. If for the land that you have, you are destroying it. Our generation, it's as if after us nothing else would come. When the colonial masters were here, they knew there was gold, alluvial gold, in our water bodies. They didn't touch it. Kwame Nkrumah said that for you to mine, go down, and then we leave the for those who do other things. But for us, we sit down and the president attends to a law that says that he can give permission to people to go into the forest reserve. So again, he should ask himself, what are we leaving? For our descendants. Unfortunately, the question even is not what are we leaving, even ourselves. What are we giving to ourselves to be able to operate?
All right, Dr. Ashigbey, what do you think the next steps should be at this point?
Because I think that we need to remobilize again. And so we should be asking, the Ghana coalition will be writing to the president and to the government to tell us what actually they have done. Maybe we are blind and we can't see it. But as I've told you, from the information we have, it does not look like anything has started. So we should be asking for that feedback. We should be asking all the president, because on the night of the 6th of January, either the vice president or the former president is going to take over the reins of government. We should be getting their commitment for this particular one. And then we need to start finding out ways in which we can force to get LI 2462 repealed within the challenge that we are confronted with ourselves. We need to get a lot more media houses doing what you're doing. We need to allocate particular times in the week or something to be asking the questions that the great questions beyond myself, call them, to come and answer these questions for us. And then we should be mobilizing everybody. So one of the things we want to do is to go again and look again at the Red Band campaign. Be able to get all of us to say, if it's on every Friday, this silent protest that will tell everybody that this is what we want to do. And we also we should invite the organized labor. They have they've looked at it. They are supposed to be doing monitoring and evaluation of the enhanced measures. What do they say is where we've gotten to? And together with all of them, because there was a meeting that was held with where the GJ represented the media coalition, and so there's supposed to be another engagement. But this is not about engagement. This is not about conferences. It's not about sitting down. It's about doing. So what are the things? So we need to push for the doing to happen. And the only people currently who are remaining to do that is the fourth estate of the realm. So we need to continue pushing it. And I think we need to mobilize all media houses to say, if they don't deal with the situation of Erasmus, we need to get to a point where we are taking some additional action to be able to ensure that we can exact the maximum sanctions out of these criminals who, one, were breaking the Minerals and Mining Act by their actions, and then also their appointees who engaged in kidnapping and brutalization of journalists.
Dr. Ken Ashigbey, I thank you for your time with us this morning.
Thank you, Kujo. This is very valuable. Let's continue doing this.
Indeed. Dr. Ashigbey, of course, is the convener of the Media Coalition Against Galamsey. We'll wrap up our thoughts on that later. Right now, though, mums, it's finally here.